All right, Shalom. Shalom to the elect of Israel, whoever you might be out there. I want to start off as always by giving all praise, all honor, all glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachah Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who teach and who rule well, who taught us this truth through the power and spirit of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying to the elect out there, whoever you might be. And Shalom to 140 and 4,000. It's the brother Amawan Padaf from the GMS Denver camp. I want to do a lesson in regards to a dream that I woke up from this morning. And I wasn't going to do a lesson on it, but the spirit moved me to go ahead and speak on it because it was heavy. And I'm realizing that it was actually highly spiritual. At first, I didn't really understand it, but as time progressed during the day, I thought on it and I was like, you know what? I got to do a lesson on this. And the dream took place in a high-rise building. All right, I was in like a high-rise skyscraper, and it began with me looking out the window onto the beach in the distance. You know what I'm saying? There was people down there, on the beach. You know what I'm saying, doing what they do, and I could see the ocean, in the distance. And I turned away from the window to go do something, and I started noticing it was raining all of a sudden. It started raining all of a sudden because it wasn't raining before. It was just a sunny day. And I turned back and look out the window. It's raining like crazy. And I see the water rising from the ocean. The ocean water just started rising like immediately, overtaking all the buildings and the land that was beneath, the skyscraper window that I was in. And I was like, oh shit. I started panicking, man. I was like, damn. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy to see. And it was so real, man, in the dream, you know what I'm saying? It was real, and I started noticing the water was rising higher and higher, and it got to the point where it covered the apartment that I was in, you know what I'm saying, that high-rise apartment that I was in. And now the water was above my window, and I was underwater at that point. And I was like, oh man, I don't know how I'm gonna get out of this. And I noticed when I look out the window, I see a red semi-truck. All right, this was in the dream. It was a red semi-truck, specifically red. And it was just like you see in this picture right here. The front part of it was red, in the box, on the back of it. But anyway, the thing is that it was floating in the water, and it was floating, kind of close to where I was at. And I was like, man, if this fucking truck hit this window, we out of here. I'm done. Because, all the water would then rush in to where I was at, man. And so as it's floating by, I'm just hoping and wishing that it doesn't hit the window, but then it does. It comes through with force and it smashes the window. And I'm like, oh shit, this ain't happening. I can't believe this is happening. And it was a very intense moment, man. Imagine yourself in that predicament. And the water started coming in, and then the thing is that as the water was coming in, it started to subside. The flood levels started to subside like immediately, and the water started going down all around me. And it's like the ocean was being brought down, because it was the ocean water that was rising. And so the ocean was brought down to about like maybe 5 feet underneath my apartment window. And check it out. And after that, after the water went down, I started seeing different people climbing into my window from other apartments in that building. I guess they survived, and they were trying to climb in to where I was at, because I was like the only one that they could, I guess, run to in that dream. For whatever reason, my apartment was the only one that was safe, I guess. And so they were running into my apartment, climbing through my window, like different families and women and children and stuff. I'm like, man, what the fuck? I'm like, what are y'all doing? Like, y'all get out of my, I don't know y'all, man. I didn't know these people in the dream, but they were all coming in for safety into my apartment. And there's a point in time, I just let a few of them in, and then I said, hey, y'all, the rest of y'all can't come in. And then, I stopped them from coming in the dream. And, pretty much after that, I woke up. But I look at it as highly spiritual, because the scriptures tell us about a flood coming. All right? It tells us about a flood coming in the form of civil unrest, man. Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, clamping down on society. And I believe that dream was symbolic to that flood, man, coming. And that red semi could be symbolic of Esau coming after me. Okay? And check it out. I have another image that I have of afterwards, after the water subsided. Like, some of the water got in, but it started going down like quick. It was like supernatural how the Lord started lowering the ocean so that I could survive, man. I didn't die in the dream. All right? So let's get some precepts out real quick. All right, here it is right here. Isaiah 59 verse 19. So shall they fear the name of the Lord Yahweh, Bashmi Awashai from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun, when the enemy shall come in like a flood. You see that? The spirit of the Lord Yahweh, Bashmi Awashai, shall lift up a standard against him. So what is that talking about? It's talking about when Esau, who is the enemy, comes in like a flood. He gonna run down on society, specifically the Israelites, man. You so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, no Indians. We're his main target. And they intend on coming after us, man, and pretty much trying to murder us, man. Especially those who are preaching the truth of Yahweh Bashmi Awashai these last days, exposing their wickedness. They're going to come after us, man. But what does it say? The Lord going to lift up that standard, man. The spirit of Yahweh Bashmi Awashai is going to step in and protect his elect, man, from that flood. And that's what I saw in that dream. All right, it was like the ocean, the whole ocean was rising, man. It was crazy. All right, it was crazy. And also in the dream, it was a wave. I forgot to tell you about that part. It was a wave that came before the semi-truck came. It was a big wave, and I could see it in the distance. And just as the water was rising, I'm like, man, if this wave hits this window, I'm done. And it came closer and closer. It was like a big-ass tidal wave. Then it hit, crashed up against the glass window. I'm like, oh, shit. It didn't break it, though. And then, afterwards, soon after, that's when the semi-truck came. But anyway, the point is that the Lord protected me in that dream. He's going to protect his elect. You understand? And here is another one that comes to mind right here. Psalms 124. It's a Psalm of David, right? It says, if it had not been the Lord Yahweh, Bashmi Awashai, who was on our side, now may Israel say, if it had not been the Lord Yahweh, Bashmi Awashai, who was on our side, when men rose up against us and rising up like a flood, right? That water was rising quick in that dream. It was unreal. Okay, but very real at the same time, you know what I mean? Then they had swallowed us up quick when their wrath was kindled against us. So if it wasn't for the Lord being on our side, we'd be swallowed up by the floods of these people, man, our enemies, starting with Esau. Then the waters had overwhelmed us. The stream had gone over our soul. Then the proud waters had gone over our soul. Who are the proud waters? The Edomites. They're the most proud, pompous nation on the face of the earth, the so-called white race. And they intend on trying to murder us, man. All right? They're going to come like a flood. Something's going to happen to where they come after us, man, as it is prophesied. And we're preparing spiritually. But that's what I saw in this dream, man. That's crazy. I mean, it's all the spirit, man. I just thought of this psalm too. I didn't think about it till just now in this lesson. And it's like on point. Okay, because the water went, super high, man. But I was protected from it. Verse 6, it says, blessed be the Lord Yahweh, Bashmi Awashai, who have not given us as a prey to their teeth. You see, our soul is escaped as a bird out of the snare of the fowlers. The snare is broken and we are escaped. Our help is in the name of the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, who made heaven and earth. That's right. Our help is in the name of the Lord, man. That's why it's important to know the name of Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. Because we're going to call on those names in the time of trouble. All right. When those floods come, in the form of Jacob's trouble, man, the Esau coming down with great wrath, as it tells you in Revelation 12 and verse 12. The Lord's not going to allow his elect to be swallowed up, man. Okay? It says our soul is escaped as a bird out of the snare or the trap of the fowlers. And the fowler is a bird catcher. Esau's a cunning hunter, as the scriptures say. And, we're the prey. But the Lord is our shepherd, man. He's not going to allow us to be overtaken by the enemy. You see? And this also goes into us escaping those thermonuclear missiles too, man. Because as a bird, escapes, it flies. And we're going to be taken up into the chariot, man. All right? Because the elect are not going to be snared by that trap that he's laying, which is the mark of the beast, the RFID microchip. Because those who take the RFID microchip, the Israelites who take the chip, who fall for that trap, they're not going to be able to escape. All right? And be taken up into the chariot of Yahweh Shai. So understand that the elect are going to escape all throughout Jacob's trouble and ultimately the nuclear destruction after the mark of the beast is made mandatory. The Lord willing, we're of that number that escapes all this stuff, man. The Lord is going to deliver the elect out of all their troubles. All right, and this also came to my mind, though. This is Matthew chapter 8. I'm going to start at verse 23. It's an account that took place involving Yahweh Shai and his disciples. All right. It says, and when he was entered into a ship, his disciples followed him. And behold, there arose a great tempest in the sea, insomuch that the ship was covered with the waves, but he was asleep. So imagine that, being on a boat and a great storm is in the sea rising. The waves are crashing against the ship. That's some scary stuff, man. Because if the waves destroy the ship, you going down into that ocean, right? But the Lord was asleep the whole time that was going on. The Lord was at peace, Yahweh Shai. And his disciples came to him and awoke him, saying, Lord, save us, we perish. They were panicking like, Lord, we about to die. Save us. Verse 26, and he saith unto them, why are ye fearful, O ye of little faith? Then he arose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. And that is what happened in my dream. You see, I was afraid because the water rising and the waves beating against, that window. You see? And then all of a sudden, as that semi truck crashed into the window, I thought I was done. And then the waters started subsiding immediately. You see, the whole ocean started going down in my dream. But the Lord asked the question. He said, why are ye fearful, O ye of little faith? We got to have faith in the time we're coming into, when all hell begins to really, truly break loose. It's going to seem overwhelming. Like, damn, there's no way out of this. We going to die. It's going to seem like that, man. The disciples went through a similar scenario. And it's no coincidence that the Lord gave me that dream, because I haven't even read this scripture in a long time. So it was spiritual, man. And the Lord has given his men dreams in these last days. You see what I'm saying? As it tells you that he would. He will pour his spirit upon all flesh. Right? You see, we shall dream dreams, have visions. This is one of them, man. So the point is that the Lord controls whatever's going on. He calmed the storm right when they thought they were getting ready to die. Yahweh Shai is with us, man, in Jacob's trouble. He's with us when civil unrest pops off and society becomes more and more violent, as Esau begins to make crazy ass laws and martial law is instated, and so on and so forth. As the famines increase, pestilence, plagues, that's all synonymous to that storm. But the Lord is controlling it, man. All right? He protected his disciples because he was with them. Verse 27, but the men marveled, saying, what manner of man is this, that even the winds and the sea obey him? So they were like shocked, like, damn, because that's the Messiah, man, Yahweh Shai. He's not a regular man. He's the Son of the Most High, and he's controlling our lives, man. You understand? He's controlling each and every one of our scenarios, even now, especially in Jacob's trouble, because it tells you that all power was given unto him in heaven and in earth. Let's get that real quick. Here we have it right here, one of my favorites, Matthew chapter 28 and verse 18. And Yahushua came and spake unto them, saying, all power is given unto me in heaven and in earth. Who gave him that power? Yahweh, the Heavenly Father. Yahushua is running the show, all of it. World War III, all right? Your day-to-day life, the trials and tribulations that you go through. Who's controlling it? Yahweh through his son Yahushua. And that knowledge, that wisdom is going to keep us stable in the time we're coming into. If we just remember this right here, man, that what we're going through is not random, not a single second. We got to call on Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua. He's controlling it, man. He has the power to calm the storm, to subside those flood waters when they come. Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua is going to be working miracles for his elect in these last days. You see? To show his might, to show his power, to show that he is in control. It's going to be made known, evident in that time, that the Lord is in control of all things, man. Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua, the power of Israel. All right? And I want to touch on another part of the dream. I'm going to wrap it up. The part in which, when the waters were subsiding, all right, and the people were climbing into my apartment for refuge, for safety. They were terrified, and they were, seeking refuge where I was at. I'm like, man, why my apartment? You know what I'm saying? In the dream, I was thinking that, like, why are they coming into my apartment, man? Out of all the apartments, they want to come into my apartment. And I was a little upset because I didn't know these people, man. It was just like random people coming in. But in the spirit, they weren't random. All right? These people, I believe, were the elect, man. All right? Because they're going to be Israelites that cleave unto, the elect man, especially women in these last days. All right? They're going to be people cleaving unto those who the Lord is dealing with. If they're blessed to be of that number that, is joined unto a man of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua. Specifically talking about you women. All right? It's going to be in the time of chaos where Isaiah 4:1 is going to take place. All right? Since I mentioned it, let's bring it out, man, because brothers, we got to go into this too, because it's prophecy, man. This is going to happen very soon. Isaiah 4:1. And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach, right? To take away their shame, because they're going to be running to a man of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua in the times of chaos, because we're going to be taken care of, man. It's going to be Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua who's taking care of his men, and the women are going to see that, with their hypergamous nature. They're going to gravitate towards the power, and we're going to have the power in that day, man. While all these other, men, these 2/3 are going to be dying off, man, in various ways. They're going to say, look, man, you ain't got to take us out on no dates. You ain't got to do this. Look, just let us be called by your name. And that means to be joined unto a man of the Lord, meaning by way of marriage. You see what I'm saying? They want to be a part of your household. That's how it's going to be for the elect man. All right? Because we're going to be their protection. And 7 is just a number of completion. It could be more. It could be, 20 women, 50 women, 100. All right, we'll see. Time will tell, man. The Lord knows. But they're going to be humble and not even coming in that pompous Babylonian woman spirit like they are now. Bringing out requirements for the man to meet. Just so he could, be with them. You got to be this, you got to be that. Nah, it ain't going to be happening in this time, man. Especially not with a man of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua. All right? They're going to be humble because all this death is going to be taking place, man. The gruesome death is going to be happening. And the judgments, the fearful judgments of the Almighty are going to be in the earth. And as nature tells you, man, women, they cleave to the strongest man in times of distress. All that independent women shit gonna be out the window. This is Isaiah chapter 32, starting at verse 1. Behold, a king shall reign in righteousness, and princes shall rule in judgment. That king is Yahweh Shai. He's coming to rule the planet in righteousness. And as the princes or the sons of Yahweh Shai are also going to rule, under him to judge the earth in righteousness, man. Verse 2. And a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. Check that out, man. That applies to that dream at the end where, those women and children and even, some dudes, but it's mostly women coming in, all right, for safety from what was going on in the dream, that flood, man, that storm. All right. This mainly applies to you women. Okay. And there will be some men that fall in order, you know what I'm saying? In time of trouble, they're going to take heed to the prophets and whatnot. We'll see how it plays out, but this is mostly for, the women. We're going to be that hiding place, man, the elect man. You see? And that's what I saw. They were running to my place for cover. And I didn't take everybody. I started, cutting it off after a while. I was like, all right, that's enough. Ain't nobody else coming in. And it's going to be like that too. Every woman ain't going to be joined to a man of the Lord, man. All right, if they're not the elect women are going to be joined to a man of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. All right, Yahweh's going to, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is going to make it happen that way. Look, it's 441. And it's 144. Call all Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. All right, but anyway, the point is that, look, an elect man is going to be as the fine gold of Ophir, more precious than the fine gold of Ophir in that day. All right, we're going to be your way to survival, man. And it's through Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. So either you women humble down or die out here, man. It's that simple. I don't want to get this in the NLT real quick. All right, here we have that same verse, Isaiah 32 and verse 2 in the NLT. It says, each one, talking about the man of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, an elect man, each one will be like a shelter from the wind and a refuge from the storm, like streams of water in the desert and the shadow of a great rock in a parched land. So just like, a shelter from a storm shelter, that's how we're going to be in the spirit. All right, mainly to these women out here, man. And then a refuge from the storm and like streams of water in the desert. So imagine the desert, man. All right, without water. You've been walking through this desert for miles, getting ready to die of dehydration, and you stumble upon a pool of clean water, drinkable water that's going to sustain you. That's what we are to these women out here. That's how it's going to be. They don't see it that way now, but they will. All right? And we're like a shadow in a hot land. All right? You're in a land where the heat is scorching. And, the sun is beaming down on your ass. You're getting ready to die of a heat stroke. And then you find a rock to hide behind that is casting a shadow so that you can rest. That's the men of the Lord in these last days. This is what Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is going to make his men into in these last days. So brothers, hold on, hold fast to this truth. The time of the flood is coming, man. When I said the flood, I'm talking about all hell breaking loose. All right. Actually, I'm going to close it on this. I got to bring this out because I kind of briefly mentioned it. Book of Isaiah, chapter 13, starting verse 11, says, and I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. So the Lord is going to judge the world, man. All these calamities that are coming is judgment for the wicked. You see? I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. And that's very valuable gold, man. And you go to Ophir, that's talking about here in America, Babylon the Great. That's another lesson. All right. So we're going to be more precious than the finest gold. All right, a man of Yahweh Bashim Yahshua, not just any man out here. You know what I'm saying? You got all these preppers, these dudes that got, all this experience in, martial arts, weaponry and all this stuff, man. That's not going to suffice them, man. They're going to die in the time we're coming into. All right. And it comes down to the Lord protecting you, the Lord having that hedge around you because he's controlling everything. So the determining factor is if you're of the elect, and Lord willing, us men are of the elect. We continue to, and we continue to cleave unto Yahweh Bashim Yahushua because he is our salvation. And we're the women's salvation. All right. You see that? That's how it works. So just want to share that with you. Lord willing, the elect were edified. That was a heavy dream. Storm is coming. Cleave unto the Lord, man. All right. I mean it right there. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachah, Kodash, and double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who teach and who rule well, who taught us this truth through the power and spirit of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Ikram Yasharallah, and the Bible Ball. Shalom to the elect.